Because I was good looking, I made the rich kid jealous. So jealous that he had his gorgeous, wealthy fiancée set a honey trap for me. The plan was for her to make me fall for her, then dump me in the most brutal way possible, all for their entertainment. But he didn't know I could read lips. I saw every detail of his pathetic little scheme as it formed on his mouth, so I decided to play along, and in the end, I was the one who walked away with his fiancée. Did you hear that new transfer Kaido Tanaka shot down Hanasato yesterday? Seriously, just cause he's hot. He thinks he can act all stuck up? What a loser. From across the quad, I watched the lips of the school's elite clique move, taking in every word of their gossip. They thought I was playing it cool, acting aloof. Was I? Is it wrong to just say no when you're not interested? Rin Suzuki, the ringleader of the group, seemed to despise me the most. A sly look crossed his face as he turned to the beautiful girl beside him. Yumi, he said, his voice a casual drawl I could read from 50 yards away. Go ask Kaido to knock her out. The girl he spoke to was Yumi Kobayashi. She was from a family as wealthy as his, and they'd been childhood sweethearts, the kind of couple everyone envied. Their parents had even made a verbal agreement about them getting married someday. And he wanted her to ask another guy out? Yumi's perfect eyebrows knitted together. You want me to ask Kaido out? She mouthed, incredulous. Yeah, Rin nodded, a calculating smirk playing on his lips. Just pretend, Yumi. You're the goddess of this school, every guy's dream girl, he continued. If you ask him, he won't be able to resist. And after he's hooked. Yumi pressed her expression cold. She added pointedly, in case you forgot what we are to each other. Hey, Yumi, Rin soothed. I told you it's fake. It's just for fun, to mess with him. Don't take it so seriously. Aoi Yamaguchi, another girl in their circle, chimed in, winking at Yumi. Come on, Yumi, don't you think it'll be hilarious? Yumi was silent for a moment, then finally nodded. Fine, I'll do it. They huddled together, hashing out the details. How to make me fall head over heels, and then once I was completely lost in the relationship, how Yumi would rip the rug out from under me, leaving me a broken mess. I saw every calculated step, every planned whisper, clear as day. That afternoon, just as they planned, Yumi cornered me by the side of the arts building. It was a secluded spot, perfect for her confession. She was holding a gift. Kaido, I like you, she said, her delivery a little stiff. Will you be my boyfriend? She opened a slick gift box in her hands. Inside was a designer watch with a striking green face. This is for you. I hope you like it. I already knew the entire script. I met her eyes, my voice steady and serious. Yumi, are you for real? A blush instantly crept up her neck. The truth was, she didn't want to play games with anyone. She wasn't sure why she let Aoi talk her into it. After a beat, she forced herself to meet my gaze. Of course I am. Then you won't mind if I kiss you, right? I took a step closer, tilting my head. Hey, kiss me. Her eyes widened, her confidence faltering. Isn't that moving a little fast? Before she could finish, I leaned in and pressed my lips to hers. They were soft, with a hint of nervousness that somehow tasted sweet. Yumi's eyes were wide saucers, clearly stunned by the sudden move. She mumbled, her voice dazed, You kissed me? This was definitely not in their script. She subconsciously touched her lips. Her first kiss, say for 18 years, was just gone. While she was still reeling, I leaned in and kissed her again, longer this time. That sweet taste was even more real. The rich kid wanted to play me with a honey trap. What he didn't know was that I already had a secret crush on Yumi. So this honey trap, I really couldn't resist it. All I could do was turn the tables. The real question was whether Yumi could resist. After learning about their plan, I'd done a little research. In Seacrest, the Kobayashi family, Yumi's family, was a real powerhouse. The other families, including the Suzukis, didn't even come close. Rin actually had the gall to send the heiress of the Kobayashi fortune after me. Well, in that case, I might as well enjoy the meal and get it to go. I pulled back from the kiss, wiped the corner of my mouth, and took the gift box from her hands. A slow grin spread across my face. Yumi, I said, from now on, I'm your boyfriend. After a kiss like that, how could I say no? That would just make me a player. Yumi finally snapped out of her daze. She frowned, her expression a mix of annoyance and something more complex. Her beautiful eyes darted back and forth before she finally managed to speak. That was so sudden. I wasn't ready. And you can't tell anyone we kissed. I knew exactly why she was afraid. Rin and the others would find out. Kaido Tanaka takes advantage of Yumi Kobayashi was not part of their plan. That kiss had, in a way, made Rin look like a fool, and he had practically begged for it. I just helped seal the deal. Why? I asked, playing dumb. Just don't ask why, she insisted, her tone hardening. You just can't, okay? All right, I agreed easily. Then I leaned in close again, a mischievous glint in my eyes. So can I have another one? No. She shook her head immediately. You already did. So I ignored her protest, gently cupped her face in my hands, and kissed her again. She struggled at first, but she was only human. As the kiss deepened, her body gradually relaxed against mine. Her hands stopped pushing me away and instead rested lightly on my waist as she melted into it. There was one thing Rin had gotten wrong from the very beginning. I wasn't some broke loser playing it cool. First, my parents were senior engineers at a major tech firm. We weren't trust fund rich, but we were a hell of a lot better off than most. Second, I wasn't aloof at all. I was, by most standards, the best-looking guy in school. At my old school, I'd been sweet-talked into a couple of relationships by some very pretty girls. Both of my exes had been the prom queen type. After dating girls like that, it was hard to get interested in anyone who didn't stand out. At this school, there was really only 1.5 girls who caught my eye. Yumi was the one. Her friend Aoi was the half. I turned down girls I wasn't into and tried to focus on my studies so I could get into a good college. That meant I didn't socialize much. How did that translate to acting stuck up? And I was far from inexperienced. I knew from that first kiss that it was Yumi's first. Sending a girl like her, a girl I was already interested in, to seduce me? It was like trying to stop a stray dog by throwing a steak at it. A gift, pure and simple. When Yumi and I walked out from behind the building, we saw Ron, Aoi, and the others waiting. They were lounging on a bench under the shade of a large oak tree, clearly waiting for Yumi's good news. So, Yumi, did it work? Aoi called out. Yumi glanced at them, bit her lip, and then grabbed my sleeve, pulling me over. Standing in front of them, she announced, Kaido and I are together now. Rin shot me a smug smirk, his eyes full of condescension. Congrats, Kaido. The others looked at me the same way. Only Aoi, with her wide, curious eyes, seemed genuinely excited. Kaido, that means you're basically our brother-in-law now. Rin barely managed to stifle a laugh at that. In his mind, I had taken the bait perfectly. He must have been gloating. That afternoon, Yumi switched her seat, moving away from Rin for the first time to sit next to me. She was my new desk partner. I caught a glimpse of Rin's phone as he secretly texted her. Stick with it. 23 months max. He'll be completely obsessed. I read the message out of the corner of my eye and sneered internally. But on the outside, I acted like I hadn't seen a thing. Yumi read the text and then glanced over at me. I turned and gave her a wide, friendly grin. At the same time, under the table, I made my move. My hand found hers and enclosed it. She tried to pull away, but I held on tight. First the kisses, now this. Yumi looked at me, flustered, and a light sheen of sweat formed on her palm. I gently traced circles on her skin with my thumb until her cheeks flushed pink. She was a complete rookie at this. She stood no chance against a veteran like me. I even leaned down and, hidden by the desk, pressed a soft kiss to the back of her hand. No one saw a thing. When class ended, another message from Rin came through, telling Yumi not to go home right away but to go on a date with me. I kept my eyes forward, pretending not to see. Yumi put her phone away. After a moment, she asked, Kaido, do you have plans after school? Nope, I said brightly, then added, want to go hang out at the pier? Yeah. She nodded, going along with my suggestion. We ended up walking along the boardwalk, grabbing some tacos, and then finding a bench overlooking the ocean. As we sat there, feeling the breeze, things naturally drifted into couple territory. Yumi, I murmured, leaning close and pouting my lips slightly. Kiss me. Is that all you ever think about? She asked, trying to sound cool and detached. I leaned in and stole a kiss anyway. This time, she dropped the act. Her arms wrapped around my neck, and she pulled me into a deep, passionate kiss. An ex-girlfriend once taught me that when a girl says no on a date, she often means yes. She also said that if a girl agrees to go on a date in the first place, she's already prepared for things to get intimate. Our situation was a little different, but she'd already let me kiss her, and we'd been playing around all afternoon. I was willing to bet my ex's advice still applied. Judging by her response, I was right. When we finally broke apart, she lingered, pecking my lips a couple more times. Her clear eyes, full of a soft, hazy tenderness, gazed into mine. I knew then that she was just as into this as I was. In fact, I was pretty sure Yumi was catching real feelings. I couldn't help but laugh to myself. Run, you and your brilliant schemes. Pushing your own fiancé into a honey trap for me. Thanks for the gift. That night we texted constantly. Yumi, I miss you. I know, deal with it. Send me a picture. What for? I want to fall asleep looking at your face. A minute later, she sent a selfie of herself in a silk nightgown. Her curves were subtly outlined, a tantalizing suggestion. I barely slept that night. Dating didn't mean we slacked off on schoolwork. It turned out we were a good match there too. We were both driven. She was consistently in the top 5 of our class. I was usually in the top 10. We both loved tackling difficult problems. We'd often argue, red-faced, over the best way to solve a complex equation. In the end, I'd always be the one to apologize by taking her hand under the table or tracing patterns on her palm. I started to settle into my role as Yumi's boyfriend, even joining their little clique of rich kids to speed up the process of me falling for her. Rin and the others would constantly tell us what a perfect couple we were. He was just digging his own grave. No matter how much Yumi might have cared for him, that affection would curdle every time he pushed her towards someone else, especially since I was right there by her side. I didn't care what any of them said. When they weren't looking, my fingers would trace patterns on the small of her back. All these kids knew Yumi and Run had a sort of informal engagement. They thought I was in the dark, but thanks to my lip reading, I knew everything. Fooling around with Yumi right under her fiancé's nose was a special kind of thrill. Sometimes she'd roll her eyes at me, but she never stopped me. Deep down, I think she liked it. Rin thought Yumi was just going through the motions. In reality, she was all in, and we were falling for each other for real. The weekend came, and Yumi and I made plans to go to an amusement park on the pier. Rin, Aoi, and the others tagged along, still thinking they were helping their plan along by pushing us closer. When we got to the haunted house, they all started screaming fake screams and ran off, leaving Yumi and me alone. I remembered Yumi mentioning in a TikTok video that she was afraid of the dark and slept with a nightlight on. But Run, who had known her for years, either didn't know or didn't care. He was the first one to run ahead. Yumi stared after him for a long moment, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. I knew that whatever feelings she had for a childhood friend were crumbling piece by piece, and I would be there to fill the void. Inside the haunted house, there was a cheesy section with a prop called the Lover's Stone. With no one else around, I took Yumi's hand and led her right to it. Yumi, they say that if you kiss in front of this stone, you'll be together forever, I said, completely making it up. She knew I was full of it. Yeah, right. Just say what you want. I grinned. All right. Since you already know what I want, let's not be polite. I pulled her close and kissed her deeply. When we walked out of the haunted house, her lips were slightly swollen. She shot me a glare. You could just kiss me, you know. You don't have to be so aggressive about it. I just really like you, I said with a sheepish shrug. She just sighed, unable to stay mad. Ren and Aoi were waiting for us near the exit. Aoi noticed right away. Yumi, what happened to your mouth? It looks a little swollen. Yumi wasn't a good liar, but I was. She was in a hurry and accidentally ran into the door on the way out, I said smoothly. It's all your fault. Aoi immediately blamed me. You're supposed to be protecting her. She bought it completely. Ren, however, was staring at the space between us, his voice sharp with annoyance. You two are moving pretty fast, huh? Already holding hands. We both looked down. Our hands were still intertwined. Yumi instinctively let go and pulled her hand back. Aoi stepped in. What's wrong with the moving fast, Run? His face had been clouded with anger, but Aoi's words seemed to remind him that this was all part of his plan. He probably figured she'd let me hold her hand as part of the act. He secretly pulled out his phone. I don't like you having physical contact with him. I'll let it go this time, but don't let it happen again. Yumi read the message, thought for a moment, and simply typed back, K. After seeing her reply, Rin shot me a condescending glance, then turned to Aoi and the others and quickly disappeared into the crowd, deliberately leaving us behind. When Yumi looked up, they were gone. Kaido, I don't want to be here anymore, she said suddenly, her enthusiasm gone. Why? I asked. I don't really like amusement parks, she admitted in a low voice. I sensed there was a story there. Sure enough, she continued without me having to ask. The last time I was here, my mom brought me. She was in a wheelchair. It was the day before she passed away from her illness. She paused. So whenever I come here, all I can think about is how much pain she was in. Then why did you ask me to come here? I asked, my voice serious. Why put yourself through that? It was their idea, she said, her voice wavering. Let's go somewhere else. I didn't press her. I just took her hand and led her quickly away from the park. Over the past few weeks, I'd realized that even though Rin was her childhood friend, he didn't really know her at all. He didn't know she was afraid of the dark, and he didn't know she hated amusement parks. I couldn't understand why a girl like Yumi would stick with a guy like him. I took her back to my place. My parents are out of town on a long-term project, I explained as I opened the door. It's just me here. Yumi, who is used to living in a mansion, looked around my perfectly normal suburban house without a hint of judgment. What a coincidence, she said softly. I'm usually alone. She looked around. My mom died a long time ago, and my dad, well, he has more than one family, so he's rarely home. It was the first time I realized how lonely she must be. A mother gone too soon, a father with multiple affairs, leaving her alone in a massive empty house. It finally clicked why she had put up with someone like Rin for so long. She was starved for affection. She probably saw him more as a brother, clinging to any scrap of warmth she could find. After she'd been to my house, she invited me to hers. It was in the wealthiest part of town, a sprawling, opulent villa with a full staff of housekeepers and security. The moment I stepped inside, the gleaming marble and crystal chandeliers almost blinded me. I stood there staring, feeling like some hick who'd never seen a mansion before. Yumi didn't laugh. She just smiled and took me on a tour. Even show him your bedroom. We were just coming downstairs when Rin and Aoi walked in. The moment Rin saw me, his face soured. Kaido, what are you doing here? Did it only now occur to him that I was trespassing on his territory? A little late for that. If he had any sense, he'd realize Yumi was slipping away and start trying to win her back. If she wanted to go back to him, I'd step aside and wish them well. He still had a chance. Yumi invited me. I replied coolly. His expression flickered. The anger vanished, replaced by a forced understanding. All right, I forgot you two are dating. It's normal for her to bring you home. I had to give him credit for his self-control. I wondered if he'd be so calm if he knew Yumi and I kissed and held each other every single day. Just then, Yumi appeared at the top of the stairs. Hearing Rin, her face remained neutral. What are you two doing here? She asked. Just hanging out. Came to see you, Aoi said, plopping down on a plush sofa. She wiggled her eyebrows at us. So what were you two doing upstairs? Making a baby? Rin's face went rigid. No way, he scoffed. Yumi's a very traditional girl, Aoi. Don't say things like that. I snuck a glance at Yumi and hid a smile. Oh, she was traditional, all right. Just a little while ago, we were lying on our bed, locked in a passionate embrace. We were one step away from crossing the final line. The only reason we stopped was because we didn't want to actually make a baby. It's the 21st century, Aoi said, turning back to Yumi. Yumi, don't be so conservative. You got to live a little. Youth is precious. You should enjoy it while you can. She was practically encouraging us to sleep together. I was starting to think Aoi wasn't trying to help Rin at all. Maybe she was genuinely rooting for us. I could see a muscle twitch in Rin's jaw. He shot Aoi a look that screamed, "Whose side are you on?" But Aoi either ignored it or simply didn't care. But that wasn't the worst of it for Rin. Later that evening, when he and Aoi were getting ready to leave, they realized I wasn't going anywhere. What? Kaido's staying the night. Rin's face darkened again. Aoi, on the other hand, looked delighted. TSK, TSK. Can't stand you two. Just keep rubbing it in for us single people. No. Rin panicked, his voice rising in anger. You two. You can't stay together. Why not? I shrugged. We're not sleeping in the same room. Besides, we're a couple. What's the big deal if we did? Not in the same room. Rin ignored the last part of my sentence, clinging to that one phrase. He looked at Yumi. I knew it. Yumi isn't that kind of girl. That annoyed me. What are you talking about? We're boyfriend and girlfriend. What's wrong with us sleeping together? Rin opened his mouth to argue, but Aoi grabbed his arm and started pulling him toward the door. They're a couple, Rin. It's none of your business. Let's go. As soon as they were outside, Rin rounded on her. Aoi, are you even on my side? It feels like you're helping Kaido at every turn. Am I? She said vaguely, turning to leave. Whatever. I'm tired, I'm going home. She walked off toward another villa down the street. Rin lived next door to Yumi. He threw one last hateful glare at the Kobayashi mansion before storming into his own house. She likes me, he muttered to himself before closing the door. She could never fall for Kaido. She's just doing this to finish the mission I gave her. That's all it is. The guy was a master of self-delusion. The next morning, I walked out of Yumi's bedroom. We had honestly intended to sleep in separate rooms, but she was helping me study late into the night, and we both got so tired we just crashed in her bed, holding each other. We didn't do anything, but sleeping in her arms all night brought us even closer. Time flew. A couple of weeks passed. Final exams were just 2 months away. Yumi and I were inseparable. Rin decided the time was right. He found Yumi alone, ready to end his game. Yumi, it's time. You can break up with Kaido now, he said, full of confidence. But Yumi didn't listen. Give it a few more days, she said, annoyed but still confident. Rin waited. A few days passed, and still no news of our breakup. He cornered her again. Yumi, what's going on? You said you'd break up with him. Why haven't you? Finals are coming up, she said quietly. Rin's face lit up with understanding. Oh, I get it, he exclaimed. You're waiting until right before finals to dump him. The shock will wreck him. He'll bomb his exams, and he won't even get into a community college. Yumi said nothing, her gaze distant. Yumi, you're brilliant. Rin continued, completely lost in his own interpretation. From a short distance away, I read their entire conversation. To be honest, Yumi wasn't as open as Aoi. She was more reserved, and even though we were close enough to share a bed, I still wasn't 100% sure if her feelings were real or just part of the act. But I had to believe she wasn't as cruel and twisted as Rin. Finals got closer, and Yumi still hadn't broken up with me. Rin was frantic. He cornered her one more time. Yumi, finals are almost here. Dump him now. She just narrowed her eyes, turned, and walked away without a word. Yumi, what's wrong with you? Why are you ignoring me? Rin was starting to panic. He'd noticed how she was always touching my arm or fixing my collar, how all boundaries between us had disappeared. At the same time, she'd grown cold toward him, sometimes not even answering his texts. You've fallen for him, haven't you? The terrifying possibility finally dawned on him, and he blurted it out at her retreating back. This time, Yumi stopped. She didn't turn around, but her voice was clear when she answered. I don't know. I don't know. What did that mean? Was she so conflicted she couldn't give a straight answer? A cold dread washed over Rin. He realized that Yumi might be trapped in the fake relationship he had created. Yumi, wake up. It's not real, he yelled after her. She didn't respond, just kept walking toward the classroom. Rin stood there, his face contorted with rage, his hands clenched into tight fists, veins bulging on his arms. Kaido Tanaka, he seethed. I underestimated you. Just wait. I will never let you two be together. The night before our first final exam, I got a text from Rin. Kaido, I'm Yumi's real boyfriend. She's only with you because I told her to mess with you. I told her to get close to you, and then dump you. If you don't believe me, ask her. She doesn't like you. She's just playing you. He was clearly desperate, just throwing a Hail Mary. Finally ready to show your cards. Huh? I smirked, turned off my phone screen, and ignored him. A few minutes later, another text came through, this one dripping with smug confidence. Assuming his words had hit their mark and I was crying in a corner somewhere. I had a laugh. With an intellect like his, it was no wonder he'd gift-trapped Yumi and handed her to me. I ignored that one too. A moment later, a video call came through. It was Yumi. I answered. Her face was creased with worry. Kaido, what did Rin say to you? I figured as much. When I didn't respond, he must have gone straight to her. He said we're faking it. I replied calmly. And what do you think? She asked, her gaze intense. I shrugged with a small smile. What kind of idiot pushes his own fiancée on another guy unless he's got a screw loose? The disdain for Rin was clear in my voice. Yes, he's got a screw loose. Yumi nodded emphatically, her tone full of agreement. I was very pleased with her response. It made all the time I'd spent with her, all the late-night study sessions, worthwhile. If Yumi was calling Rin an idiot, it meant she was completely on my side, and as long as she was with me, his pathetic little scheme was dead in the water. In fact, he wouldn't just lose, he'd lose his fiancée to me in the process. Talk about a plan backfiring spectacularly. He didn't just lose the game, He handed me the queen. Ren thought he was a genius. I wondered if he'd end up like one of those villains in a movie, so consumed by rage that he'd give himself an aneurysm. No matter what he says, don't listen to him, Yumi urged through the phone. Just focus on your exam tomorrow. She smiled. After finals are over, we'll go to Europe for a trip. I promise, I have a huge surprise for you. Okay. I nodded, reassuring her in turn. Yumi, you too. Don't let him get to you. Seeing that I was fine, she finally relaxed. The next day was the big one for students everywhere. It was the culmination of years of hard work. My parents, who had been overseeing a project abroad, flew back just to be there for me. When they dropped me off at the school, Yumi was already waiting. She was still worried. The moment she saw me, she rushed over, scanning my face. I'm fine, really, I said, taking her hand and leading her toward the exam hall. Behind us, I could feel the venomous glares of Rin and his mother, as well as the bewildered looks from my parents and Yumi's father. This was a surprise to all of them. The teachers knew we were dating, but since it hadn't affected our grades, they never said anything. This was the first time our parents were seeing us together. My parents were just confused. Ren's mother, however, looked furious. Ren, what is going on with you and Yumi? She hissed. Why is she holding hands with another boy? Ren, humiliated and angry, just stammered, unable to form a coherent sentence. The exams came and went. Yumi and I both felt we did well. After running the numbers, we were confident we'd both get into UCLA, no problem. Our trip to Europe was next, but before we could leave, there was one last thing to do. Thing to take care of, one person to deal with. A few days later, Yumi called and asked me to come over. When I arrived, she and Ren were arguing outside her front door. Yumi, I'm your boyfriend. No, I'm your fiancé. We have an agreement. Ren's voice was high and strained. Boyfriend? Fiancé. Yumi's face twisted in disgust. Didn't you tell me that Kaido and I were a perfect match? That was part of the plan for you to confess to him and then dump him? Ren was filled with regret. He had willingly given away his beautiful, intelligent, and incredibly wealthy childhood sweetheart. Yumi, I know what this is. You're teaming up with him to mess with me, he pleaded, clinging to one last shred of hope. Okay, you win. I'm messed up over it. Just come back to me, please. He opened his arms to hug her, but she took 2 quick steps back, dodging him. Run, she said, her voice devoid of any warmth. It was over between us the moment you pushed me at Kaido. Who do you think you are? I don't need you, Ren. Only an idiot would think of making his fiancé ask out another guy. Each word was a sharp, precise jab. Yumi. He started to protest, but he had no defense. Go away and don't contact me again, she said coldly. As for our engagement, consider it broken. The truth was, it was never a formal engagement, just a casual suggestion between their parents, but Yumi was making it official now. Yumi, you can't do this to me. Ren pleaded, his eyes wild. We grew up together. Have you forgotten all the good times we had? He lunged for her again. She retreated, and I stepped in front of her, my voice low and dangerous. Don't touch my girlfriend. Your girlfriend? Ren looked like he was about to snap, turning his rage on me. What are you so proud of, Kaido? If it wasn't for my idea, Yumi would have never even looked at you. That stung, but I decided to lean into it. Then I guess I should thank you, I said calmly. Thank you for giving me your amazing fiancé. The unspoken message was clear. I know everything. Yumi looked up at me, her voice soft. Kaido, you knew? Yeah. I nodded, my gaze gentle. There was no blame in it. A slow, beautiful smile spread across her face. In that one look, all the pretense and lies of our fake relationship melted away, leaving something real behind. That shared moment was the final straw for Ren. Kaido, you stole Yumi from me. I'm going to kill you. He suddenly pulled a folding knife from his pocket, flicked it open, and charged at me. Look out. Yumi screamed, moving to stand in front of me. They didn't know I'd been taking martial arts for years. In a single fluid motion, I pulled Yumi behind me and shot my leg out, planting a hard kick in Ren's stomach. There was a dull thud and he flew backward like a rag doll, landing in a heap on a manicured lawn. The knife clattered on the stone driveway. Yumi threw her arms around me, frantically checking to see if I was hurt. I patted her back reassuringly, then pushed her gently aside and went after Ren, who was trying to scramble away. There was no escape. We called the police. Ren was arrested. When Yumi's father, Mr. Kobayashi, heard what happened, he was furious. He might have been an absent father, but he loved his daughter. When the Suzuki family tried to smooth things over, he immediately cut all business ties with them. It was only a matter of time before their company collapsed. Mr. Kobayashi also made a few calls to ensure Run would be well taken care of in prison. As it turned out, it wasn't necessary. Ren lost his mind in jail, started a fight, and got beaten to death by a group of other inmates. By the time we heard the news, Yumi and I were on the Amalfi Coast, lying in a king-size bed in a villa overlooking the sea, about to finally cross that last line. The big surprise she had promised me after finals was herself. But just as we were about to get lost in the moment, there was a frantic knocking at the door, followed by Always cheerful, booming voice. Yumi, Kaido, what are you two doing in there? Whatever it is, I want in. I knew she was doing it on purpose, trying to ruin the mood. Yumi and I just looked at each other and laughed. We ignored the knocking and turned our attention back to the sweetness that was ours and ours alone. End of story. Epilogue. Yumi's perspective. It's true, my mother died when I was young and my father was never around. I spent my whole childhood starved for affection. That's why I was always so attached to Run, the boy next door. At first, I really did like him. I even dreamed that we would be together forever. But he never seemed to care about me in the same way. And then he asked me to go after another boy, to play some sick game. That's when I knew it was over. He was supposed to be my fiancé. What kind of person asks their fiancé to fake a relationship with someone else? Kaido Tanaka, the new transfer student, the boy Run wanted me to destroy. I knew who he was before Run even mentioned his name. He was the quiet, handsome one with the sad eyes. Aoi had already done a background check on him and told me everything. He transferred schools because a girl at his old one had become obsessed with him and he couldn't get away. I couldn't believe it. I never heard of a guy being harassed for being too good-looking. When I asked Kaido out, I wasn't playing a game. I'm not like Ren. I don't get a thrill from messing with people's emotions. For me, it was a chance to see what a real relationship might feel like. I was taking a risk. As for Run, the moment he used me as a pawn in his scheme, I saw him for what he was. My feelings for him weren't just disappointed, I was disgusted by his character. Aoi had warned me for years that Ren was a bad person, that I should stay away. But I was blinded by the idea of childhood sweethearts and our parents' silly engagement. When that illusion shattered, all that was left was his ugly, selfish, and cruel nature. When I heard he had died, I did feel a pang of sadness. I thought about the little boy I used to play with, the long summer afternoons we'd spent together. I said a quiet prayer for him, looking in the direction of home. I prayed that if he had a next life, he wouldn't be so foolish.